contraception vary tremendously, from behavioral methods and types of direct sterilization, which we won't talk about right now, to different devices and medications that you can use. Now, there are three main categories of these: barriers, spermicides, and hormones. The hormonal contraceptives are really complicated though, so we're going to save them for next video. Our barrier methods: first of all, we have condoms. Pretty sure we all know what they are and how they work. Then there are diaphragms, sponges, and cervical caps. These are devices inserted into the woman which block the opening to the uterus, the cervix, so that the sperm can't get in to fertilize the egg. When using these devices, women can be susceptible to urinary tract infections, toxic shock syndrome, and even damage of tissue should the device be incorrectly inserted or become dislodged. Then there are spermicides. These are chemical compounds of various textures, and what they do is essentially kill or paralyze the sperm before it gets to the egg. As for side effects, when the spermicide is used often, there is a dramatic increase of the likelihood of the woman contracting STDs, sexually transmitted diseases. A different type of spermicide is the copper IUD, intrauterine device. There's also a hormonal one, but we're not talking about that because we're not getting into the hormones in this video. This device is inserted directly into the uterus, intrauterine, where the copper releases ions which stimulate the lining of the uterus, the endometrium, to secrete a substance including the copper ions and also white blood cells. We're going to come back to that. This substance acts as a spermicide, kills and paralyzes the sperm so it doesn't get to the egg. The side effects of the IUD are more rare but also very dangerous. The device is kind of pointy, so it is not unheard of for it to actually puncture or embed itself into the woman's womb. And should conception occur despite the IUD, the pregnancy is very dangerous. According to Planned Parenthood, the chances of there being an ectopic pregnancy are higher when using an IUD than otherwise. An ectopic pregnancy happens when the egg is fertilized but doesn't make its way all the way into the womb. It stays in the tube between the ovary and the womb, the fallopian tube. And if the baby grows there, then the results are hazardous and often fatal to mother and child. Should the baby actually get into the womb, the IUD can potentially prevent the egg from embedding into the endometrium where it gets the nutrients. So the baby wouldn't be able to grow and eventually he would just die and be miscarried. If he does beat all the odds, he gets conceived, he gets to the womb, he does implant, and he starts to grow, then the IUD being in there is likely to puncture the amniotic sac or the womb. Either way is very bad and will result either in a miscarriage or in a premature birth, and it's just not a great situation. Here is a good place for some important clarification. Contraceptives prevent pregnancy. Abortifacients terminate pregnancy. If a contraceptive doesn't prevent the conception, but the baby is actually conceived, but then the contraceptive that you're using makes it so that the baby dies after having been conceived, then it's being used as an abortifacient, even if it's not intended to do that. The IUD easily causes the death of the baby in the cases of conception, so in this case, it's very likely that it can be used as an abortifacient.
Alright, wait a second. I see what you're doing here. Trying to scare everyone away with all these scary side effects of these scary contraceptives. Well, I'm not stupid, and doctors aren't stupid either, and neither are scientists. They wouldn't be just giving us poison. They've been working on this stuff for like 60 years, and all of those side effects happen so rarely anyway, they're really kind of negligible. Besides, having a kid is way more dangerous than using contraceptives.
Yeah, scientists and doctors have been working on birth control for a long time, but sometimes there are side effects that take an even longer time to surface. And you'll have to excuse me, but I do have to rant a little bit about the copper IUD. Who thinks that's a good idea? You're making your body react defensively against sperm as if it were some sort of a disease or a virus or something. Part of the substance that the endometrium secretes to kill the sperm and paralyze it are white blood cells. And the white blood cells do to the sperm what they do to any other disease or thing that they don't want in the body, and they just do like the phagomyosis thing and they swallow it up. Now, is it so ridiculous to think that maybe even after you may have taken out the IUD, the white blood cells might have learned that sperm is something to get rid of. Then when you've decided you are ready to have kids, you want to start your family now, well, you can't. But now you're infertile because your white blood cells think that the sperm is an enemy because you were telling it that. And as for the argument that contraceptives are actually way safer than real pregnancy, that is ridiculous. Why would you even think that? The entire female anatomy is designed for pregnancy. That is our purpose when you're looking at it in a physiological point of view. We are designed to carry life. We are designed for this process. And saying that some artificial means of interrupting that and messing up the flow is more safe than actually going with, the process of nature, that's just ridiculous. But just to prove my point, I've linked below a forum for people using the copper IUD. You can go there and, check out all the ridiculous, weird side effects they're having that seem to have nothing to do with the contraceptives, but do, because your body is a whole thing and you can't mess with any of it without messing all of it. So, see you next time. It'll be soon with the hormone contraceptives. Bye.